Where's my timer? There it is. I am resident of Colorado YouTube, joined by my buddy Mark Gillman, who works for the Silver Shamrock Company, joined by my buddy Daniel Culver. We're here to discuss Halloween Resurrection, a very, very interesting movie. So, all right, guys, when did you first see Halloween Resurrection?
Oh yeah, again for me it was in it was in late 2011. Or I mean 2011. I know it's kind of hard to get used to because we always said 2011, but now everyone says 2011.
Mark?
Um, I want to say probably about 7 or 8 years ago. Um, I got, I hadn't seen all of the Halloween, so I was trying to collect them all on DVD. And I remember finding a lot of them used at an FYE store. And so at that time, I think it was like if you bought two used, you got one free. So I tried to stock up on all the Halloween movies, and I bought that one, and that's when I watched it. I think it was Halloween around Halloween 2014.
Cool. I
Okay.
saw Halloween Resurrection the day it came out. At the Brownsville drive-in, and my biggest story with this is it took me, let's see, 2003, 2004 till 2005 to convince my brother to watch this film. He
Mhm.
did not go see Resurrection.
Uh-huh.
And to him, H2O, it was over. And finally I convinced him, and he said, I love you to death, but this movie is too Hollywood. He goes, it has Buster Rhymes, Tyra Banks, Sean Patrick Thomas. He goes, there are more famous people in this movie than there are on my wall.
Oh wow.
Well, he had posters on his wall, so
Mhm.
that was his joke. And I said, so what about H2O? He said, same thing. He said, and here's the thing. I love his CD collection. Between him and my cousin, they had all the LL Cool J cassettes and CDs.
Mhm.
So they knew who LL Cool J was. So did I. But I remember, like, in the 90s, sometime, I want to say 94, maybe 95, that LL Cool J had announced he was going to go try to become an actor, train
Mhm.
to become an actor. But for Resurrection, here's my next question for you guys.
Mhm.
What's the weirdest part of this movie for you guys?
Well, the weirdest part,
The other one.
honestly, I'm gonna say when Lori kissed Michael Myers. I know it's supposed to be like a brother sister kind of kiss, but it just seemed kind of off.
And what do you think, Mark? What's the weirdest part for you?
For me, I guess it's the and I'm not it's the weirdest part for me is also one of my biggest problems with Resurrection. I like the movie, but it's the story of Michael and the ambulance worker.
Yeah.
Um, it just seemed like kind of weird how he could do that, and I'm not saying that Michael couldn't and that there was an opportunity, but it just seemed kind of weird, but I'll go with it.
One of the weirdest parts for me, this movie takes place in two different times. One when Lori gets killed, and one when the house incident happens. It takes place a year later. A full year later, the events of the story are in Haddonfield, or so we're told, and I believe that they are Haddonfield, where Laurie Strode was born and raised, where Laurie Strode grew up, where Laurie Strode survived Michael Myers in 1978.
Mm-hmm.
There's no mention of her death from the sanitarium.
Oh, I never thought about that.
None.
That's true.
And every time I go back and watch Resurrection, I go back and watch Resurrection to make sure. Am I wrong? Did I just not hear it? Not am I losing my mind? No.
Yes.
There's no mention of her. Now there is a newspaper clipping of her fake of where she died in the car crash,
Right.
but that was the whole H2O setup.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my next question for you guys: Did the sanitarium cover up Lori's death?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe. Oh yeah. Speaking of time, I could be wrong about when I saw this. I may have actually seen this in early 2012 as well.
Uh-huh.
I know it's kind of weird, but because I don't always watch them around Halloween time,
Right.
and that was also when I was watching them all. That's why I said, but I'm pretty sure it was you know late 2011. But I want to make it clear that I may have been wrong. But to answer your question, I could actually see them covering it up because Michael Myers killing one of their patients, well, breaking in and killing one of their patients. That's a pretty big deal. That could probably get them shut down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think. What do you think, Mark? Do you think they covered it up, or?
Oh yeah. I think so. I would say that they probably. I figure they probably did some way to make it look like a suicide, but also to keep it under wraps. Like she threw herself from the roof, I guess, but I don't know. Yeah, um, I think they do what they could to try to sit on that one and keep it quiet.
Here's what I think happened, because I don't think this is. I want to be clear. I don't think this is a plot hole in their story. I don't think they forgot about Lori.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is done on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
To and I know what the producers have said. I know what Jamie Lee Curtis has said. All my characters dead. I think this is done on purpose so they have a loophole bringing her back.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Really, I think that was. And here's why I say this: her not only is her death not mentioned, I know he's not in this story, but her son is only shown. He's never mentioned a year later.
Right.
He doesn't come in. So that's my thing. I think that's their loophole. That was their loophole to bring Jamie Lee Curtis back to this series. Number one. Number two, the security guards. It was simple. I think Harold got the blame. Um, Two, I think they just ruled Lori's death a suicide to themselves, or they just didn't say shit about it, and she's somewhere else now in a different hospital under a different name.
Uh-huh.
It's one of the most. I like your ambulance point. I will say that their explanation for how Michael switched is weird.
Mm.
But I'll go back to the original with that and say that Michael kills a tow truck worker and steals his clothes.
Uh-huh.
And I think, again, H2O, the question is always, should have ended with H2O. And I think if they couldn't have come up with a better way than what they did, then maybe it should have. But we know with H2O, they already set up in that movie that there was going to be another one.
Exactly.
That's so it's up to the resurrection writers. Hey, we have to come up with a way to come up to
Right.
fit
And I think we know that Mustafa Akkad was always very hardcore that Michael has to be back. He
Yeah.
he learned his lesson from Halloween 3, and even so many years later, he was like, you know, it has to be Michael or it's going to flop. And the producer, he was the producer, so ultimately they win. So So they had to find a way to write Michael back.
Could you guys, if you could have, if you guys could have started this movie off a little differently, how would you guys have started it off?
Oh, that's actually a good question. How would I have started it off? I'm not really sure because because that kind of ties in with the end of H2O.
Yeah.
The ambulance worker.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Maybe instead of having Lori in a mental hospital, have her in hiding instead.
Yeah. Mark, how would you have started this off?
Okay, I kept thinking about this. I watched the movie yesterday morning, and I kept thinking about this. For me, and I'm going to rewrite the movie just a little bit. Um, I think that I wouldn't have had Jamie Lee Curtis in it at all.
Really?
I think that what I would have done is have had I can't remember his name, the mental patient who was obsessed with different serial killers. Ed Gain. What's his name?
Harold.
Harold. Okay. I think I would have recast Harold into someone who was a little bit more matching of Michael's physique and build. I think I would have watched him hearing an idea pitched for Dangertainment, like maybe watching a TV and becoming obsessed with wanting to be Michael Myers and maybe staging an escape of the sanitarium like Michael did in the first one and going to the house as Michael and being the new shape of evil, hence the name Resurrection. And I would have liked to have spent more time getting to know the cast of Dangertainment and the show that Freddie Harris and everyone was putting together. I would have completely excluded Jamie Lee, had Harold be the killer, and gotten to know the cast more. But that's just me.
So you're going all the way, bold.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't, and Mustafa Akkad never would have gone for me because it would have been another killer besides Michael. But I would have liked to have had a resurrection that you can't kill evil, and I would have liked for him to have staged an escape like Michael, and gone into the house to stay and stalk and kill these kids.
I love the idea because
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing. I don't mind the idea of a copycat killer
Mm-hmm.
because hey, why not?
Mm-hmm.
So many. I mean, we've only seen out of the big three. Well, now we've seen only two copycats with
Mm-hmm.
Jason and Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll say this. I love you guys' ideas. They're really good. For Jamie Lee, again, because she did not want to be a part of this movie, and that's sort of what I think. That's where this movie somewhat gets a bit tripped up too.
Mm-hmm.
But to help H2O with if I'm gonna go back, I'm going to retouch up on the ending of H2O just a tad,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to show Lori load the person. We're gonna see this again. This time, when Lori cuts his head off, we hear the police sirens in the end of H2O, we see them go. She's screaming, "I got him! I got him! I got him!"
Mm-hmm.
They pull off the mask. She stared like, "Oh my God, it's not him." So we're getting the explanation there instead of getting the explanation in the sanitarium. And that's when we would have cut to Laurie Strode somewhere else where, she literally lost everything. She lost her money, she lost her son over this. Her
Yeah.
son quit talking to her over this because they just think this woman's crazy now after killing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And go the route of she is against the dangertainment idea. The dangertainment idea would have been brought before the governing body of Haddonfield, whoever that makes up, the senator or whatever. She's against it because they want to have it in the Myers house, and she should be. And Freddie Harris asked her, why are you against this? He's gone. No one's seen him in how many years? Even you said yourself, you haven't seen him since the events of. So we're tying together that, yes, Michael switched costumes, but Laurie Strode would have been more heavily involved with the story. And this is where she's sort of becoming a bit like Loomis. She tells Freddie Harris, he'll come home. Come here.
Yeah.
When he does, you'll see, other than these leaves on the streets, you'll see blood on the streets. And Laurie's warning the town, and the town's still sort of ignorant a bit to, okay, we need this. That we need this, and they approve it, and she ends up being right. I think I agree with you. You do need to get to know the characters of the younger characters a little better.
Yeah, because I enjoyed a lot of them.
Yeah, with Resurrection, they take the house on Haunted Hill concept. What did you guys think of that? They're taking the house on Haunted Hill concept and applying it to, well, the Halloween franchise.
I actually never realized they did that, to be honest, but that's a pretty good movie too.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they did it.
Yeah.
1,000. Now it would have to be more money today, but $1,000 back in 2002. Hey, that was, yeah. I'll college student. I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. For one night, yep.
I will say this. Here's what I find most interesting. What did you, with Sarah Moyer? Was it shocking to you that at least two of her friends got drawn? Their names got, because it's not just her name that gets drawn. Two of her friends' names get drawn too in this. So was that shocking to you guys?
Honestly, not really, but it's obvious they did that on purpose. Well, like in the storyline, they probably knew somehow.
Yeah. What do you think, Mark?
I didn't really think much about it. I figured maybe there was some kind of setup to something. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they were just standing together in line and talking. And they decided to get all of them. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. It makes me sort of think of when we first, The Real World or something, how they pick their cast. So I'm sort of thinking these names weren't necessarily just drawn; they were chosen.
Yeah.
Deliberately chose. Okay, let's pick this one, this one, this one. It does seem pretty random though. But here's what I say. And again, I like Freddie Harris, what he does here, because this is where I got the sense of he didn't like to lose. When you have a contest or something, because I've seen schools do contests, they never throw away the names in case somebody drops out of something. So I take it Dangertainment didn't throw away the names. So when Sarah Moyer wants to drop out, they could just have a redrawing. And no, he tries to convince her to stay, which I find really interesting. I'm thinking, like, dude, you could go get another person who could scream, and you don't want this character to go. This person, it's really, I think that's one of the most intriguing things about Freddie Harris for me. What's something that intrigues you guys about each of these characters?
Not sure about each, but I know some people are probably not gonna like this answer, but I like how Freddy knows kung fu. I know, I know that's like a big controversy, but people gotta realize kung fu is made to defend yourself.
Yeah. What about you, Mark?
Um, I don't know. They were kind of they were a big mixed bag of people. So I mean, you had like a lot of different. It was a diverse group. So I like how some of them were wanting to, I guess do things for the right reasons and to stay there. They didn't want something that was rigged. And then at the same time, there were some of them that were, trying to provoke reactions on the cameras and keep the cameras on them most of the time. Um, and I don't know, they were just a good mix of people. I think that when when Rick Rosenthal wrote this, that it was he wrote a good mix of characters. So there was something likable about each one of them.
Oh,
I
I
like,
like Mark's answer better, but I stand by the thing about what I said about Freddie Harris. Oh,
yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, no. I re- I like Freddie Harris, obviously, but I like Rudy as well. He was really interesting.
Mm-hmm,
And so, Sean Patrick Thomas playing an interesting character is nothing new,
mm-hmm.
but him being a cook and knowing how to use knives, I
Mm-hmm.
was not expecting a knife fight between him and Michael in
Oh,
the movie. And I'm like, oh shit, how's this gonna go? Because I love how Michael's just walking towards him, dodging the knives, walking towards him. He's cornering him, and he does. And the most terrifying thing is, which what you're watching is Sean Patrick Thomas's character doesn't realize he's being cornered, and you're sort of watching this, and it's like, oh shit, dude, quit backing up, quit just charging, just fuck it, because either way, it's not going to end well.
no.
But that's to me, that's one of the most terrifying scenes in Resurrection because you're watching him back up,
Mm-hmm,
and there's like it's like you realize what Michael's doing. He's just getting him into a corner so he can't move. He's
mm-hmm,
boxing him in. And
mm-hmm.
it's like, oh shit. What's you guys' favorite kill in the movie?
Oh, actually, I'm ready for this one. My favorite is the camera one. Where you know, you guys know what I'm talking about, where he killed Michael Myers literally killed someone with a camera.
Oh yeah, I think
Yeah.
Charlie killed him with the tripod.
Yeah, and you actually see it like first person view.
Mm-hmm.
I like how when they show that scene, the cameraman's looking and he's like he thinks it's Freddie Harris's character.
Mm-hmm.
Like because he mouths something and he's like then he realizes, well wait, Nora said they weren't here. And then when he sees the tripod, he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
What's your favorite kill, Mark?
Um. Let me see. Um. I would probably say, I think I'm going to go with the camera tripod as well.
I like that. It's really tough to beat, and make it all three of us because that is so good. I will give Sean Patrick Thomas's character's death a close second because of how it's. But here's the thing too. There's two deaths close together with it. There's the rock star's death. He dies like right before him, and then that's when Sean Patrick Thomas's character grabs the knives, and it's like This is when he did that again. I wasn't expecting it, but it's terrifying to me.
Mhm.
Do you guys wish they would have showed Nora's death?
I would say I'm gonna go with yes.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess they're just I'm not a big fan of Tyra Banks, so it would have been a little satisfying, I think, to to see it on screen.
I wish again if Jamie Lee Curtis is allowing her death to be on screen, then there's nobody who should be saying no.
Exactly, I agree.
Like at all. Like when somebody says no, just let them know. Hey, hey, hey! The Scream Queen got killed on camera. You're not
Mhm.
saying no.
Right. Yeah, it's like if it wasn't for her, you would not be here right now. So be a team player or get it moving.
Like okay, like Buster Rhymes' character gets stabbed on camera. It's like, hey, he took one.
Hmm.
Like,
Exactly.
no, we can show your death. God damn it, we're going to. Oh god, what was the? I'm trying to think of the character's name. The what did you think of the computer guy who was in love with Sarah or who liked her?
Honestly, I don't really have much to say about him.
um, I guess he was cool as far as like, I mean, he helped them at the end. He really came into play at the end, but I guess that would have been if you would have asked us our second weirdest thing we thought about the movie. I guess the fact that he was in high school and pretending to be older than he was.
Yeah,
And I guess that never really coming to anything, or you never see them meeting together at the end. There's no closure to it. But I mean, he was cool and came through at the end to help Sarah and Freddie.
I'm gonna say something that might shock people.
Hmm.
I hated this character,
Yeah,
and let me tell you why. He's chicken shit.
yeah,
That like there's some like don't get me wrong. We know there's characters who Michael are just gonna kill, right?
mhm,
And I think they should have had him either A, go to that house and save her,
mhm,
and he ends up getting killed because of saving, and she never knows who that is
uh-huh,
because she never knows who it is anyway. If you're gonna do that, or there's a deleted scene where he does come and he says, "I'm Decker," and she's like, it's like so. I feel at times because you could tell how scared he is watching Michael doing what he's doing.
oh yeah,
And
and he for
when
real.
he when he does right when he doesn't go, it makes me think the character's a bit of a coward.
Yeah,
And it's so hard to like translate that too because he's across the computer screen.
yeah,
So again, I'm not saying he's a bad character. I don't think he is. But at the same time, there needs to be that moment where okay, what more can I do?
uh-huh,
We've all seen characters where okay, he's helping her across the screen, but any one of those characters in that room could do that once they realize what's going on.
uh-huh,
They're needed. This is where I give Buster Rhymes' character credit. Buster Rhymes realized I either got to fight this guy or let him kill me. I got to stand
yeah,
my ground or let him kill me. I'm standing my ground. That's a
yeah,
defining moment of what courage is. That there needed to be that moment for this other character, and there isn't. And that's my biggest problem with that character. It's just like you keeping him there makes me feel like, and maybe he was never meant to be the hero of the story, but there needed to be a moment where, okay, it's either I have to go and actually help this girl because really, what is messaging her really doing? Really, other than warning her, it's not doing all that much because you can't fight the battle for her.
Right.
Her and Freddie end up fighting the battle, and there's no one there to help them. And it's really that again, I don't love the character simply because I feel they make him a coward.
Yeah. I completely get that, and that's fair.
Yeah, I agree.
It just, again, I don't think it's a totally bad character, but at times you're making the character too flawed.
Yeah.
Like, here's a great example. You like this girl. You like her. She's in danger. Are you going to sit across the computer and keep warning her when everybody else can do that? Or are you going to go and put your life on the line for this girl who you don't know and doesn't know you, but you like her?
Yeah.
There's a great moment in 2018 where Dave, the one girl's boyfriend, stands his ground. Yes, he dies, but he's not a chicken shit either.
Right.
And there needed to be that moment for this kid, but there never is. That's my one big issue with Resurrection, because to me, and I'm not saying the character wasn't needed, but once there are other people in the room who are realizing, okay, this isn't fake anymore, and they all do eventually.
Yeah.
Someone else could operate those keyboard.
Yeah. I agree.
So, what's your favorite effect in this movie, guys?
My favorite effect, not really sure, to be honest.
Mark? Yeah.
My favorite effect. I would have to say some of the camera work, how some of it takes place, how it switches back, like to where you're watching a regular movie, and then some of it switches like you're watching on a computer screen, and that was pretty cool because this was 6 years before Paranormal Activity, where we were like watching things through a camera lens. So I thought that was kind of an inventive thing. It um, sort of took like the first Blair Witch movie and kind of grafted it into Halloween. So I kind of liked how they did that. I thought they did a pretty good job of that.
Oh, I'm gonna second that.
I really like the fact that my favorite effect is when they cut the blonde haired girl's head off and it rolls right down the goddamn steps. Let me tell
you. Yep.
With the butcher knife.
Mm-hmm. That was a powerful swing. Or she had a skinny neck.
Listen, I've the Pirates could use a hitter like that. Okay. Yeah. so they could use any hitter like that. Because they haven't won a World Series since 1979. That tells you everything. What did you guys think of the Myers house in this movie?
Oh, I actually think they did a good job on it.
Mark?
I think it looked pretty good. There were parts of it, especially like towards the end, where it looked a little bit like a sound stage with all the wires and stuff hanging down. So it looked like they were on a set, and we were seeing things that we shouldn't. But at the same time, I think it looked a lot better than um, Michael's house did in Halloween 5. So it kind of brought it back to the roots of what it looked like in the beginning.
I have news for you, my friend. They were on a set in a sound.
Yeah.
they went the Dark Shadows route, and really,
Yeah.
if you can't go to Pasadena, if you can't afford California, then you need to build your own Myers house. And, and they did. I love how it looked, but you're right. Later on, you could sort of see that it's on a sound stage. That is a goof up in the movie,
Yeah.
and you can't miss it either. That's the thing. Like
Right.
when
Right.
you see when Michael is headed from the room, headed out, I'm like, well, I see they went the Dark Shadows. Are good for them.
There you go. There you go.
But I mean, it looked from a design standpoint, the house looked good. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
it looked like it should have to me after well over since 1978.
Hmm.
You know, because we're again, Resurrection is going off H2O. We're not acknowledging 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
So we can say, hey, this is the Myers house from 1978.
Mhm.
Do I wish they would have gone to found a way to afford Pasadena? Whoever does the next Halloween, whoever, take that shit to Pasadena
Mhm.
and film it there.
Mhm.
And again, though, too, that they want. There's only so many states that have tax breaks for films, and that's what really filmmakers want, so they don't have to spend that.
Mhm.
So there's that. But
Mhm.
I like how it looks too. I agree with you guys. It looked really good.
Mhm.
Uh, what did you guys think of the fake? Like the Dangertainment puts uh, salt, pepper of a 40-year-old. What was it? Whatever I think Rudy said it was a fable or something. And it's like, oh, it tastes fresh because it is fresh. And then
Mhm.
fake arms in a basement. What did you guys think of that?
I'm glad you asked that. I was actually shocked at first, but it kind of shows, that Dangertainment, was trying to trick them. And actually, it's also interesting you mentioned House on Haunted Hill because that's clearly an homage to that. Because for those who
Mhm.
haven't seen the original House on Haunted Hill, it wasn't really haunted. All the stuff were fake, like the skeleton was like
Mhm.
controlled with a remote control.
What did you think, Bark?
Um, I thought it was really neat. Um, the character of Rudy, I guess I didn't really think much about how he was, tasting the food and saying it was fresh and all that. But I think when I want to say, I can't remember his name, but when he and Donna were down in the basement and and the wall like burst open and there were all those skeletons and she was freaking out thinking he had walled all his victims up and he grabs the arm and it says made in Taiwan, then I thought that's great. That's such a good moment because that's like everybody knows that this is fake and Freddy has to move in fast before they blow the cover because they've got cameras on them, so Freddy like hops in real quick.
They, I sort of think that when you look at this film, it is Daniel's right. It is an homage to the original House on Haunted Hill
Mhm.
because, but the thing of it is, with this, you have a real danger in a serial killer, and so you have all these props and fake things around the fake high chair, the fake, the fake stuff, the fake dolls and stuff, the fake shit in the room.
Mhm.
So, because that's the thing too, this movie is also asking you think back to John's original, think back to how the house was actually left in that film.
Mhm.
So I kept thinking back. I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. The house was empty in '78. How did this shit get here? Well, they
Mhm.
planted it here, and I'm with you. I like how they're having sex. The wall just falls down, and it's like, yeah. and he's pissed too. Like the rocker guy, he's so mad.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Uh,
One was pretty smoking, so I'll say that. So yeah. Um, but uh, but yeah, I thought that was great. You know how they rigged all these different things in the house, and um, I love the whole idea of like the Dangertainment and a reality TV show in the Myers house. I mean, what a great idea! There's so many things you could do with that.
yeah, because the one thing that I think it asks you too, just sort of like when we would watch those reality shows growing up, how real is it?
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah, it's true.
the, from a production, from the writing, it's like, okay, we know the people are real, but are they being fed material? Are they being, and you're sort of asking that too of the people there, are any of them in on this?
Uh-huh.
And you might think maybe not Rudy and maybe not Jen, but you really don't know about the others.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's what makes it interesting. These new characters, they're six random people, and I do like the psychology, how Donna has she's a psych major,
Uh-huh.
and she's getting into the psychology of it. And
Uh-huh.
again, it's a really interesting movie. It's entertaining. It's not boring, but but I will say this. You know who they're missing in this movie? And God rest his soul, Vincent Price,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
because I guarantee you, Vincent Price, he wouldn't have got caught.
No, wouldn't have. He would not have.
He was like the original house, like Daniel said, the original house on Haunted Hill was gold. Like when I
Yeah.
was showing that to my kids, my daughter's like, "Daddy, is that guy like trying to trick these people?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, my dear, yes,
Yep.
he is."
Unfortunately, Vincent Price passed away before this came out.
Yeah, wait, like I think what 93, I think.
Yeah. It
Actually,
was
right,
about.
93. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt you.
no, no, no. I was just trying to remember the year, but he was just you talk about me and Patrick were talking about we might be doing the Ten Commandments sometime soon. You want to talk about a performance in that movie?
Yes.
Vincent Price does a hell of a job.
Yes, he
Uh,
does.
I mean, there's things I watched the Red Death of the Edgar Allan Poe one.
The Mask of Red Death. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mask of Red Death. Thank you. And his performance in that movie is like he's such a heel, but he's so good. I mean, and when the red death thing comes in and starts talking to him, and then it's his face it's like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like really good. But yeah, but I could just I could see Vincent Price doing a movie like Halloween Resurrection.
Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I'm sort of thinking I sometimes think that's what Buster Rhymes is trying to be at times. Not necessarily be Vincent Price, but be a Vincent Price-esque character. But the one thing I'll say is he's not the nicest person at first. He's very direct with certain people. And it's like, I was like, what's he doing? And then where he wins me over, there's two moments when he comes back in for Sarah Moyer because he didn't have to. He could have just left her ass.
Oh, exactly.
This is sort of where I get into the boyfriend. It's like, hey, your girlfriend might be alone with a serial killer. Go help her. Well, here's Freddie Harris. He realizes somebody might be alive. He goes to check, and here's Sarah, and he tells her, I swear on my soul, I didn't know Michael was still alive, and I believe him. That's where his character wins me over. Unlike the boyfriend who was sitting on his ass waiting for his girlfriend to get knifed so he could get some other girl. That's what his real motive was.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my god. What's you guys' favorite scene in this movie?
Favorite scene. I'm gonna go with you know, when Freddy, like he actually realizes there's danger and he's kind of hiding a bit. I don't know if you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, he's like sneaking around because you're right. He comes up behind Sarah Moyer.
Yeah, I like that because it showed like actual motion. Like it shows that he's scared and he probably feels guilt too because this is kind of his fault.
Mhm. That's
Mark,
good.
what's your favorite scene, Mark?
Um, hmm. I've still got to go with the same thing when the rocker guy and Donna are down in the basement and they rig everything to come out of the walls and they realize it's a fake. I love that part. So I've got to go with that.
My favorite scene is when Michael Myers gets kicked out the window and he's hanging, and you could see that the house is a soundstage. It's the best goof up in a movie, and it's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful. It's like, where's Dan Curtis when you need him? He'd be like, clean that up, son. Clean that up.
Yeah.
Now you can see that in 4K.
There you go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really. I love how I do like the fact that Sarah Moyer and Freddie Harris tag teaming. They have to sort of fight him together, and it still doesn't do them any good because he eventually finds a way to get the upper hand on them.
Right.
So I'm gonna let you guys have the floor because I feel like I'm talking too much. Go ahead.
No, I'm enjoying it.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
But I'm trying to think of another question. What did you guys think of the score of this film?
Oh, to be honest, and I know I keep saying this, but I don't really have much to say about it. I know people probably people probably starting to think I'm boring or something.
No.
Not at all, dude. Whatever.
Daniel, you're my friend, dude. You're never boring, dude.
That's right.
Oh, thanks.
We don't think you're boring.
Not
Oh,
at
thanks.
all. What do you think of the score, Mark?
Oh, me or Daniel? I'm sorry.
Mark.
Oh, okay. Um, it's okay. It's got a couple. I do like it better than H2O score. I think it's better than the score in H2O. Um, it's all right. I didn't like the opening of the movie. I thought I missed the pumpkin credits.
Yeah.
Beginning of the movie. Um, but it was okay. What did you think?
I'm okay with the score. Again, I don't. All the scores in the Halloweens, I can't say I hate them. I can't say I dislike them. But I do think between H2O and Resurrection, the scores are a bit. They need something.
Yeah.
Don't know what they need, but they need something. And really, what they really let's be honest. We know what they really need. They needed fucking John Carpenter to score these films.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But that's what they really needed. But I think they did need to take more of a better emphasis with both H2O and Resurrection. Scores aren't the greatest, but they do fit the films that they're attached to, and I think that's what's. It's sort of a weak response, really, for me, because it's like, do I remember if somebody said, "What do you remember least about Resurrection?" The fucking score.
Yeah. Yep.
I couldn't tell you what got played where, when it got played, but I could tell you the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Your answer goes good with mine actually.
Right? Because here's the thing, Daniel, you know this. Like, if it's a good score, we're gonna like it, right? But at the same time, it's like if you really can't remember what notes were hit where, most likely the score sucked.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
If it's I think the worst. I think the worst comment you could ever give to a score is that it's forgettable, and unfortunately, I think this one is kind of forgettable.
Yeah, this isn't me and Mark's AARP show in here. It's just that forgettable. Okay.
It is. It is.
Like, no, and that's where you could sort of see the films were rushed a bit with the scores.
Mm-hmm.
Between 98 and 02, I wish they would have pushed Resurrection back to 04 and actually worked a little more on the script and the score, and maybe people would appreciate this movie a little more. It's not boring, but do I get people's frustration with it? Sure I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can't tell you what the scores were, there's a problem.
Right.
And it's funny because it's the opposite with the original Halloween.
Right.
That has a really good score.
Oh yeah.
Right. And here's the thing too. When the score plays when the car is coming around a corner, my God, do you feel the goosebumps go up your goddamn body?
Mm-hmm.
Like still today, when I watched that, I was like, God, I got like fucking goosebumps went up my goddamn back, and it's like, that's what I said when I got to Resurrection. I'm thinking, where the fuck was this for Resurrection?
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
2018 had the same. 2018 had the same thing as 78. You could feel the scores.
Yeah.
You could feel the goosebumps, and that's something you should feel. Now, Kills didn't have that. I do wish Kills would have stayed with a little more finesse. I don't mind kills. I don't mind gory kills, but have a little finesse scoring with it.
Uh-huh.
Those scores, if I can't tell you anything about the score, it's not a good thing.
Right.
But other thing, trying to think, what did you guys think of? Well, the fact that the town let Dangertainment go into the Myers house.
I didn't really think about that. You would think there would be some controversy actually, but you know, they probably would have ended up doing it anyway. But it would have been cool to see like protesters or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think, Bart?
I kind of agree with what Daniel said. It seems I'm surprised that, and going back to Friday the 13th, that there wasn't a crazy Ralph guy hanging outside saying you're all doomed, like there was in Friday the 13th. I'm surprised we didn't get at least one guy in the neighborhood of Haddonfield saying that to the cast as they were going in.
Listen, there were so many tears over Crazy Ralph's death in part 2. Listen. I will say that this is where Laurie Strode's character could have came into play, where she's the one pushing back against this idea. And it wouldn't have been overbearing either, because what does Laurie Strode represent? She's the person who lived through Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And I've always talked about this with anybody else. To really appreciate Michael, you have to experience him.
Mm-hmm.
To really get why someone else, whether it's Loomis, whether it's Laurie, whether it's Kara Strode, whether it's John Tate, whether it's Dr. Loomis, whether it's Tommy Doyle, to really get why they're so up here fucked up, or why they're so whatever obsessed with that killer, you have to experience that son of a bitch.
Yes.
And once those people in that house did, even Buster Rhymes' character realized, oh fuck, we really fucked up here.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, that's what I want. And whatever they do next with Michael, have that realization where there's people who either they know of Michael, but they don't really give a shit. And then there's a character who does know. and says to them, "No, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, he'll come here and he'll fucking wreck your life." And guess what? He
Yeah.
will.
And that was something in 2018 that I think they addressed well when Allison and Dave and Vicky were walking together down the street um, when they were going to school. He was like, well, that was like 40 years ago, and he only killed 3 people. So he's like, so that's not really a big deal now. So it's just like he was so out of touch with it. But when you come face to face with like what Loomis said, that he is evil, that after all his years of researching Michael, that was the only thing that he could come up with. He is the evil.
When Dave said that, I got to tell you, I could have sworn to God I could see the Grim Reaper right on his shoulder, like, "Yeah, son,
Yeah.
you're in for some serious shit later."
Yeah. He had the target like appear above his head, like the Arby's commercials used to have, where they had the Arby's above them. They were thinking Arby's. Yeah, I think yeah, he was the next target.
Def's standing there with his watch. "Come on, Michael. I got a schedule, dude."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But is there anything you guys want to add about Resurrection? Please go ahead.
Well, with how you're talking about, like, they could have used Lori later on. They could have still did what they did at the beginning and had her later on. Like, maybe instead of her dying from the fall, she was just injured, and
Yeah.
they have her come back in a wheelchair or in a cane, and then she could be like saying, "No, he almost killed me again last year," or something like that.
Yeah. They definitely could have. Mark, is there anything you want to add?
Um, yeah, I want to point out something that I thought was really cool. I learned that Rick Rosenthal, the director, was the college professor at the beginning when he was talking to the class, and I thought that was cool that he put himself in the movie, because I've seen other things that he's done, and he did Halloween 2, which is my personal favorite. Um, excuse me. So I'm a big fan of him, and I will say you turned me into a fan of this movie. I love hearing your story about you and your mom seeing this movie. I know I've said that often, but that was a beautiful story, and you got me to take a second look at this movie through new eyes, and I do enjoy this movie. It's a lot of things that it does good. It does really great, and I think they had a really really good idea with a reality TV show from the Myers house. It was something new, it was something fresh, and that hadn't been done before. So I'm definitely going to give the movie props for that.
What's to be? I think this is sort of underrated the way 5 is at times.
Mm-hmm.
And because Michael was stalking the people in the house, so there is stalking. The atmosphere in the house feels really dark and creepy. I think when I think of, do I think it's a great fall setting? Not exactly, but I think that again they spend majority in the house though too.
Yeah.
And
That's a good point.
when you get cut to the college, they're having a costume party,
Mm-hmm.
which it sort of feels like fall, but it's like, nah, they're just idiots. But
Yeah.
we're having a party. But I do again, the character to me, I wish they would have again 2 characters. I think again enough went into Freddie Harris to make him interesting.
I agree.
But if you were going to have this other character, this online character, there needed to be sort of like I give the character Dave of 2018 a lot of credit, though we know he's a walking corpse in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
He at least takes a goddamn stand.
Right.
There needed to be that moment for that guy on the computer screen, like, you know what, fuck this, I'm gonna go help her.
Mm.
And I wish they would have did that, but because that's why I don't love the character, because it's like you're making this character whether they realized it or not. My biggest issue of overall with Resurrection is they're making a character choose whether to not go to help or just sit there and help. And you might say, well, he's still helping. Yeah, but here's the thing. There's nothing physically he can do to help her.
Right.
That's where you're sort of like, kid, get off that computer screen and go.
Right. And if you're trapped in a house with a killer on the loose and you have to stop to read text messages, that's
Right.
not really helping.
That's true.
Yeah.
No. Just like that could get you sideswiped, well, that can get a knife in your ribs.
Exactly. Exactly. Or a tripod, as we saw in the earlier.
I went to Long Beach. I went to the same college as Spielberg. Michael Myers doesn't give a shit where you went to.
Does not.
That's true.
like son, you're about to be a corpse. Enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god. Oh guys. First of all, guys, I hope you guys have had a happy Halloween, and to all the
Been
people
good.
out there, I hope you guys have had a happy Halloween too. I have had a lot of fun with this one. This was fun.
Oh, me too.
Yes. Thank you guys so much.
It's
You're welcome.
really fun. Let me stop recording and I'll talk to you guys a bit.
All right. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Yep. Happy Halloween.
Yep, happy Halloween.